ready? We'll call this meeting to order.
Oh yes, this meeting of the Board of Commissioners for Sumner County is now in session pursuant to adjournment. Anyone wishing to speak to an item on the agenda may sign up now. God bless this country and this honorable commission.
Thank you, Mr. Pickard. All right, our invocation tonight will be brought to us by Reverend James Gill. Reverend Gill ministers at Liberty Baptist Church and has been a pastor there for over 40 years. He's married to his wife Barbara, with whom he has 3 daughters and currently 8 grandchildren. Reverend Gill received his PhD in religious education and family counseling from Luther Rice Theological Seminary in Atlanta, Georgia. He's also the director of the Sumner County Food Bank, as well as the director of Bass and Buddies, a recreational agency for special needs children. And if you've ever seen the work that they do at the food bank, it really shows the grace of God and the care for many of our citizens in Sumner County. So, Brother Gill, on behalf of Reverend Gill, on behalf of the church, on behalf of the commission and the church, thank you so much for all that you've done for our county.
Thank you, sir. Let's pray. My dear Heavenly Father, first we thank you for Jesus Christ, who died a horrible death for our sins. And now I ask you, Father, to be with the commission tonight as they undertake the arduous task of the business of Sumner County. And I pray that every decision they make will not only advance our county, but it will help our citizens and glorify you. For it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
If you will join me in the pledge to the flag, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, let's check our roll.
Roll call is now open. Each commissioner, please record your presence. No, all
24, okay.
All 24 members are present.
All right. All right, thank you, Mr. Kemp. All right, your regular and consent agenda are before you. Without objection, I would like to slide recognition of the public until after our certificate of recognition. Without objection, we'll do that tonight. Okay, let me get is there a motion to approve our agenda? Motion made by Commissioner Taylor. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Kruger. Mr. Mansfield.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I would like to, off of the consent agenda, move 2111-09 and 2111-13 to the regular agenda, please.
Okay. All right, so we'll put 2111-09 and -13. We'll move it from consent to the Budget Committee. All right. No one else in the queue? All in favor of our agenda, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Okay, your minutes are on your are in your packet. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Motion made by Commissioner Ring, second by Commissioner Foster. I see no one in the queue. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, your veteran service report is in your packet, and I will now yield the floor to Commissioner Mansfield.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to invite up Miss Marianne Day and Chief Bowers, and also Connie and Pat and Judy, if you would come up, please. Come on up. I want you guys to come up with me. You're not going to come up? All right. If I could have Miss Marianne Day and Chief Marty Bowers come up. She doesn't know I'm doing this. Tomorrow's her birthday. 40s will look good on you. This is a month of thanks and Thanksgiving, and there's one thing that in our district, in District 11, with the Shackle Island Volunteer Fire Department in our community, that I just wanted to honor and recognize Mary Ann for all of her efforts and what she does for our community and for fundraising and just the spirit of volunteerism that she has. both for different nonprofit groups. She has a heart to help, a heart to connect others. She has a heart for those who are elderly and needs assistance. She does a lot of elder checks and takes some pies when she's not riding jet skis or playing bingo or riding motorcycles. So she's a busy lady. But I just wanted to just honor you tonight, Mary Ann, just for all of your efforts. And I'm going to read this resolution to spread on the minutes of our body tonight. So whereas Miss Mary Ann Day, whose spirit of volunteerism and fundraising efforts for the Shackle Island Volunteer Fire Department helped procure an average of $30,000 a year for the purchase of necessary equipment and gear for firefighters, and whereas Miss Day's fundraising efforts have assisted in massive donation increases for local nonprofits by her efforts have aided countless causes, and whereas Miss Marion, being one of the most thoughtful and caring members of the Shackle Island community, checks on the elderly and assists with their needs, making wellness checks and facilitates healthy relationships within the community. And whereas the Shackle Island community is grateful for Miss Mary Ann Day and her efforts to assist the Shackle Island Volunteer Fire Department, as well as the community as a whole. Now therefore be it resolved by the Sumner County Board of Commissioners meeting in regular session on this 15th day of November 2021, that this body does hereby express its appreciation and gratitude for the many years of volunteerism and charitable efforts of Miss Mary Ann Day. And this body urges all the citizens of Sumner County to acknowledge her accomplishments and contributions. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall be spread on the minutes of this body, and the clerk is to furnish a copy of this resolution to Miss Mary Ann Day. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Motion made by Commissioner Mansfield, seconded by Commissioner Mo Taylor. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Can you take a photo? Can you take a photo? Okay. Want to give this to you? Want to say anything? I asked her if she wants to say anything. This is a dangerous thing to give the microphone to her.
And you know what? It's such a wonderful community and such a wonderful county. But you know what? I wouldn't be doing all of this without this guy. And for the volunteer fire department. You know, those men and women are on call 24/7. And they're there for everyone. So that's why I do this. Marty has been fire chief. It's going to be 29 years. Come April. He is up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I've seen him when he hasn't come home until 5 o'clock in the morning because the electric's gone out. He's left me at a beauty shop because he's had a call. I had no way of getting back. He's left me numerous places. But duty calls first. Even the guys on the department, their mothers years ago when they were in school would take them out to dinner for a birthday. The tones would go off. They'd all leave. Now you see how I get the money? I tell the stories, and the stories are all true. But I have a request that I'd like the commission to think about. Marty has been in that old school, and he's been in the new building since it was built. He's probably the oldest fire chief. God, we know he's the oldest fire chief. And for 29 years, and he's 82 years old. I'd like to see, before he kicks the bucket, some kind of dedication on that building to Marty Bowers for 29 years of service to his community and that all that he gives. So please consider it, commissioners, and make that building Marty Bowers, Shackle Island. I thank you, and I really appreciate this. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Day.
I've learned that you just say yes, ma'am to Mary Ann.
Thank you, Ms. Day. All right, before we jump back to public comments, I want to take just a moment to recognize our Leadership Sumner participants that are in the very back row on the right-hand side. Thank y'all so much for joining us. We appreciate the steps that y'all are taking to learn about Sumner County and to be future leaders and current leaders in Sumner County. So thank y'all for taking the time to join us tonight. We appreciate it. All right, public comments. I will remind everyone that you have 5 minutes to speak. You'll be able to see the timer for your comments on the screen back there. We won't start the clock until you begin speaking. I ask that you state your name and address for our records. And Again, just our rules of decorum are such that we don't make disparaging comments about institutions in Sumner County, officials, or citizens of Sumner County. So we ask that everybody just follow the rules of decorum and to also speak to items that are on the agenda tonight. It looks like everybody that signed up is addressing an agenda item tonight, so we should be fine. But we will hear from from public comments at this time. First up is Alan Lancaster. Mr. Lancaster, if you don't mind stating your name and address for the record.
Yes, sir. Alan Lancaster, 117 Buchanan Circle, Hendersonville. Good evening, and thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. My name is Alan Lancaster. It's my first time ever to attend a commission meeting or speak at one, either one. I'm here tonight just because of the whole issue with Josh Graham and the October 20th zoning board meeting, in which we had a school board member asked to have Mr. Graham's neighborhood moved out of the district that she represented. And it just so happens that the neighborhood that Mr. Graham lives in is this neighborhood that was moved. It took mere seconds for this request to be made and that change to be granted. And now here we are 26 days later. And it does not look good to me as an outsider. We see, like I say, on video, it seems to be a board member able to get rid of her challenger. Now, that might not have been the intent of it, but that's how it looks. So does that sound honest and fair to you? Does it sound like an action that would promote the public trust? It looks bad enough to me that it motivated me to attend this meeting tonight. It motivated me to attend the meeting last Monday night. I honestly thought that surely that situation would be corrected by that group, but I left that meeting not only disappointed, but very disheartened. First, I heard that the maps had already been printed. Then I heard that the person that could make the changes to the maps on the computer was out sick that night. And then I heard that the change was justified because lots of neighborhoods got rezoned. And yes, lots of neighborhoods did get rezoned. We've had a lot of population growth in the last few years, and I understand that we have to change the lines, and things are required to change by this population growth. But as far as I'm aware, this is the only case where the neighborhood was moved specifically because a board member asked for the line to move. It's the only case where a person that had signed paperwork on file at the county election office was moved out of the district that he was planning to run for. So hearing that lots of neighborhoods moved districts, to me, is not a valid excuse to this situation. It's just not. Here's a man who, like myself, is planning to run for a seat on the Sumner County School Board. He's a concerned parent with children in the school system, and he simply wants to have his right to run to represent other parents on the school board. Some commissioners stated last Monday night that other people who were being moved into new districts were probably also thinking about running for office. And that's probably true as well, but at the time, nobody else had already publicly declared. Josh Graham currently lives in District 9. That's a fact for the next few minutes anyway. After the initial changes that the computer model made for population adjustments, Josh was still in District 9 at that October meeting. It was not until the request was made that Josh and his neighborhood were moved out of District 9. A request made over 2 months after Josh had submitted initial paperwork to run for the District 9 school board seat. He wasn't considering running. He wasn't thinking about running. He was actively and publicly running for the seat. I don't know Josh Graham. I have now met him a total of 2 times in the past 2 weeks. But I do believe in trying to do the right thing. And what I believe is right is for the people that live in District 9 to be the ones to decide who represents them on the school board. Not the current school board representative, not the members of the zoning committee. Let the people decide. That's all I'm asking of you tonight. Elections belong to the people. It's their decision. I didn't say that. Abraham Lincoln did. You all have the power and the ability to make this right. Again, ask yourselves, how do you think this looks to the people you represent? I've long been a person that sat by and watched. But what I saw on October 20th, it motivated me. It motivated me to attend meetings. It motivated me to speak tonight. And it motivated me to stop sitting back and watching. I believe in doing what is fair and honest. I believe in doing what is right. And frankly, I believe we can do better than this. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Lisa Hayward. Ms. Hayward, if you can state your name and address, then Mr. Kemp will start your time and you'll have 5 minutes.
Lisa Hayward, 137 Windcrest Way, Hendersonville, Tennessee. Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. I have one child that has graduated from Sumner County Schools and one child that's currently enrolled in our county school system. I'm here to specifically address the issue on the redistricting of the school board districts. The school board member that is currently representing District 9 specifically had the county commission on October 20th remove the Twin Eagle subdivision from their district. It also happens to be the district that a Mr. Josh Graham lives in. Mr. Graham is currently running for the school board in that same District 9. The school board member also demanded that the Twin Eagle subdivision be moved to an even district. Only the odd number districts have re-elections in 2022. The even number districts are not up until 2024. Please know I'm not here to be dramatic, but I'm just here to state the facts. There is a video of what I just shared, which transpired at the Legislative Committee redistricting meeting led by county commissioners who serve on that committee. Also in the video, the board member did not know that Guild Elementary School is not in their district, and I believe has never been in their district. But somehow they knew where the Twin Eagle subdivision was. We have 11 school board districts with one elected school member representing each district, so 11 school board members in total. Of these 11, I counted only 3 members who have children currently enrolled in Sumner County Public Schools. None of the 11 are retired Sumner County school teachers. More than half of these board members, which include the District 9 member, will have been on the school board for at least 8 years at election time next year in 2022. Our director of schools, which is appointed by the school board, does not live in Sumner County or anywhere in the state of Tennessee. So I ask you, where is my voice? The voice of the parents here in this room and that are not here in our county. I have seen previous meetings here where many citizens have voiced their opposition of an agenda item and have been ignored by your majority vote. I hear all the time, even from some of you here and school board members, that say we can't get anyone to run for our seats. So Mr. Graham, who does have children in our school system, steps up to run for a seat on the school board, but currently cannot run in his district as the incumbent prevents him from doing so. Mr. Chair, Commissioners, I'm asking you to put Mr. Graham's subdivision back in District 9 tonight before your vote. It is about doing the right thing. It is about strengthening my trust and the trust of all parents here in Sumner County. By not doing this, how can any of us trust you and the school board to make even more crucial decisions regarding our children? We are tax-paying citizens of Sumner County, whether our children are in the public school system or not. So as elected officials, you're supposed to work for us in our interest. I don't want to hear we can't get anybody to run for seats. Or why are all these people showing up at county commission meetings and school board meetings upset? You know the answer. Our voices are not being heard. Thank you again for your opportunity and time to speak this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Hayward. Mr. Pascal Jovance. I hope I said that correctly, Mr. Jovance. Okay. Mr. Jovance, if you don't mind, state your name and address, and then when you start speaking, your time will start.
Pascal Jovance, 1335 Longfellow Park, Gallatin, Tennessee. Mr. Chairman, and all of you here, some I know, some I don't, I appreciate taking the time to listen to us. I just picked up a couple of things who went in the paper because what happened on a school board redistricting made the paper, and not on a really good way. Miss Tina Lee was a reporter from mainstream media, write in an article. During that meeting, I'm citing her, so I think it's
fine.
okay.
It's fine.
During that meeting, Brown asked that a portion of her district be removed. I want the left side of 9 off, she says. Go on, go on, go on. What we suggested, and Dr. Phillips isn't here, he thought it should be along 109 and then give out to whatever number. I don't know who that was going to, Brown asked. The reporter did a job. Reporter, she actually contacted Dr. Phillips. And she wrote on that article, when asked via email if he gave any input into the redrawing of the school board district, Phillips said he referred any school board member who had concern about the new district to attend the October 20 redistricting committee. So he kind of denied what Ms. Brown is saying. So who's telling the truth there? She's using him to basically put the Twin Gorge subdivision out of her district, so her only declared opponent can run. And what's really interesting is that initially the Twin Gorge subdivision was pushed on District 11, where he could have run, but was moved on District 8 a little time after that, where he can't run. So I was at that meeting, and I mentioned a few times to the chairman at that time, Mr. Ring, my concern, and that would just push away to keep going. I have the same concern that people already talked, that when that came to the legislative meeting, when the same concern were brought to you guys, they were pushed aside with excuses, like we already printed the maps. If I worked on a project, I'm going to need to have one of my team approved. I'm not going to spend the money and print the result of the project before it's approved. So that makes me think that was approved beforehand. That should not be. And if that was not the case, you're spending taxpayer money for no reason, because if something had been done at that time and line had been moved again, that was a waste of money, printing all this map for nothing. We saw that one on the school district redistricting, but we forgot I saw the same thing doing on the committee on your guys' district by one of the councilmen who came on and moved full lines using his own words, where I don't want to deal with these people, and make sure his district was compact and nice and only look all over the place. So again, what happened in that meeting doesn't look good, and we trust you and we expect you to do the right thing. So please, I think you can push that to get back to the drawing board. You have time. Please do it and make sure that this way that we see that gerrymandering doesn't show up in the media again, because you represent us and we want you guys to look good. So I appreciate your time.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Javance. Ms. Amy LaSurf. Ms. Brooks, you'll be up next. And Ms. LaSurf, if you can state your name and address, and then your time will start when you start speaking.
All right. My name's Amy LaSurf. I live at 220 Evergreen Circle in Hendersonville. I'm going to make this short. I'm here to oppose the proposed school district map. I ask that you amend the map tonight and move the Twin Eagles subdivision back to District 9. You guys have a chance to right the wrong tonight. You say people don't want to run. This man wants to run. Let him run. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. LaSurf. Ms. Brooks. Michelle Jovance will be up now, is on deck. And Ms. Brooks, you'll have 5 minutes. If you can state your name and address, then Mr. Kemp will start the clock.
I'll make this very short. My name is Kay Brooks. I live at 123 Trousdale Drive in Hendersonville. I strongly support and ask you to vote to keep the 12 districts, and I oppose removing the Twin Eagles subdivision from School District 9.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Brooks. Ms. Jovance. And then Kevin Bager, you'll be on deck to come up next. And Ms. Jovance, just like with everyone else, if you can state your name and address, and then your time will start when you start talking.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm Michelle Jovance, 1335 Long Hollow Pike, Gallatin. I wanted to talk about the redistricting for the school board districts. And I was at the meeting when the school board members were asking to have their lines drawn. I was at the very first meeting. I was at several of the redistricting meetings, and then I also attended the legislative and watched and tried to participate at the redistricting of the school board. It was kind of a laid-back process where everyone was able to have input in drawing where they wanted their lines to be moved. And I watched that. And one thing I also did watch was when Gallatin did their redistricting recently. And before that, I read the guideline book. I don't know how many of you have read that book that was given out to you all about the guidelines that are required to follow. So I had read that previous to all these meetings. So what was kind of strange, in my opinion, was that there are certain criteria that are required by law to follow, and only one of them was really made like important in these meetings from my observation, and that was the equal population in districts, and that was made to be like the most important thing. But that's only one criteria. The other criteria are that they need to be contiguous and compact districts. The other one was minority representation needs to be taken into consideration to protect against discrimination and dilution of minority voting. So the only thing that really was something that was considered was making sure that the numbers were right within the 10% deviation, and making sure that all of the elected officials who wanted to had their say in what they wanted with their district lines. But that is not a criteria that is required by law. It's just not. So that's something that I think that, you know, it's nice that you all did that, but it's not necessarily the right way to do it. I think that gerrymandering did happen. In my opinion, it was very obvious. And I did try to bring it to the attention. I actually had a conversation with Commissioner Chris Taylor several times, and specifically said to him, we know what she's trying to do. She's trying to remove Twin Eagles. She's trying to remove her opponent. I said it at least 3 times to him. And I actually said, I think probably after she left, I'm not sure if it was after or before, that gerrymandering's illegal, and I think that you all could have a legal problem on your hands if you let her get away with this. So I did try to say something, and I was actually shut down by the Commissioner Ring, would not allow me to say something in public to the whole commission. So it was a little bit too laid back, in my opinion. I think that the criteria was not followed. I think that Josh Graham was drawn out of District 9 on purpose. I would like to offer a solution that you either put him back into a district where he can run, or you actually change the voting cycle for all and have all of the school districts vote at the same time, because this is going to continue to happen every 10 years because neighborhoods are going to be moved in and out of districts, and it is voter suppression. And the people, the citizens, the voters are the ones who should be able to vote every 4 years, not every 2 years if they're moved, or 6 years if they are moved. So,
Thank you,
okay,
Ms.
I'm
Ms.
sorry.
Evans. You're fine.
Anyway, so I hope that wasn't confusing, my last point, but I'm out of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jovans. Mr. Kevin Baker. Kimberly Overton, you'll be up after Mr. Baker. And I think, Mr. Baker, I think you know this routine.
To some of you, this is going to seem a little bit like the movie Groundhog Day. But I'm going to talk a little bit about, it was on the consent agenda, but item 211109. I didn't get a satisfactory answer at Budget Committee, and I don't think I should just let this go. The numbers just don't add up. But to rehash this, so the resolution calls for spending $93,000 on 5 dryers. Your paperwork, not mine. Transfer documents show we're transferring from one file to another $93,000. The PO, Sumner County PO, calls for basically to replace 2 of the 5 dryers that the jail caught on fire. Here's the important part. REM, the company we're going to buy from, is the only company that we can get quotes from. So when I was told that, well, we have to go out and get quotes, but you say it right here, there's only one company. So 2 dryers would cost $74,000. 3 dryers, $111,000. 4 dryers, $148,000. 5 dryers, $186,000. So either we've got shoddy record keeping or something funny is going on here, and I think we need to see the real numbers. It goes in the official record for this county. We're basically talking about $90,000 here. We spend millions. Okay, but if we can't account for the $90,000 well, how can we account for millions of dollars well? Okay. The next point is I want to talk about the 24 districts that is being proposed. I have 5 points about that. The first one is it's just wrong. The timing is wrong. It sure seems like it's purely political. For 50 years, Sumner County has had 12 districts. Why do we have to change it now? Sure just seems like politics. Number 2, from the most transparent county commission in history, why do we have to make such a structural change to our county government? And I find it interesting that nobody on the legislative committee had any Facebook posts about what was being proposed. In fact, I talked to a couple commissioners, they didn't even know where they were going to be when they were asked to vote on this in committee. They didn't know the maps themselves, but they unanimously voted for it. Something just seems wrong. Can't we just take a step back and take a look at that? Do we have to do the 24 districts right now? Also, at the legislative committee, there was an awful lot of gaslighting going on. We're being told, well, we feel like we did diligence and all this stuff. It doesn't matter what the commission feels. What does the citizens feel? There were plenty of people that stood up that night. There are plenty of people here tonight concerned about this. We don't have to do it. again, it's purely political. And I don't see Mr. Robinson here, Mr. Robertson from CTAS. He said you could do this anytime. It doesn't have to be done during a redistricting. Why force fit it now? Other than it goes back to the whole concept of being political. And finally, I heard that the argument was, well, having 12 county commissioners, those upper northern, the North 40, up, only where, farm animals are afraid and stuff. You're worried about county commissioners being able to go around and get votes and campaign. Why aren't you changing the school board from 12 or 20, from 11 to 24? Sure doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't. But
Okay.
one other thing. With all the hope and change that's being peddled by this county commission, it sure seems as if many of you don't really like Sumner County. Think about that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bagert. Ms. Kimberly Overton, if you'll state your name and address, you'll have 5 minutes after you do that when you start speaking. And Mr. Josh Graham, you will be up next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Kimberly Overton, 106 Creekside Court, Hendersonville. I wanted to take the opportunity to speak this evening about the blatant gerrymandering that was demonstrated at the October 20th zoning meeting when an elected school board member made very clear her desire to have a specific area removed from her district. Are we to believe that the fact that this area, which houses the Twin Eagles subdivision where her only declared opponent, Josh Graham, resides, is a mere coincidence? On its face, this is an absurd move to make just given the perception of impropriety that it creates. Surely none of you would be so bold as to vote for gerrymandering in an election year. Further, to touch on a point that was brought up by Stephen King at the November 8th Legislative Committee meeting, this move would disenfranchise thousands of voters who have not had the choice in their school board elections since 2018. Upholding this redistricting plan would take away their voice for another 4 years, giving them no say in their representation for a total of 6 years, while having given other districts the gift of being able to choose their representatives twice in the same time frame. This is a clear case of voter suppression. Again, I ask, who among you would be so bold as to vote for not only blatant gerrymandering, but also voter suppression in an election year? I expect that my representatives in District 7 will do the right thing. Even if it may be unpopular among their colleagues, I expect that they will adhere to the principles of representative government. At a bare minimum, this is what is expected of you by your constituency. If either of my two representatives are unable or unwilling to represent the people, uphold election integrity, and do the job we elected you to do, then I myself would be willing to step up and run for one of these seats in 2022. And I assure you, I am not afraid to stand up for what is right, even when it's unpopular. So I do hope you will side with the people this evening, because in all honesty, this isn't something I would necessarily want to do. But at the same time, we can no longer allow corruption, whether real or perceived, to reign in Sumner County. If our local elections in 2020 taught us anything, it is that a grassroots movement of, by, and for the people can and will make a difference. Thank you for your time and the opportunity to speak this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Overton. Mr. Josh Graham. Mr. Graham, if you can state your name and address. After you do that, you'll have 5 minutes once you begin speaking.
My name is Josh Graham. I live at 306 Wildcat Run in Gallatin, Tennessee. I'm currently a candidate for school board in District 9, but my candidacy may be short-lived because on October 20th, my subdivision was proposed to be moved to District 8. It is the opinion of several this action was clear gerrymandering to remove a political opponent from contention. You may hear arguments tonight stating that redistricting committee moved several subdivisions throughout the redistricting process. While this statement is true, at no other point in the nearly 10 hours of redistricting meetings was a specific neighborhood targeted for removal by that district's sitting representative. You may hear the argument that keeping Twin Eagles in District 9 may set a precedent for future redistricting, and may encourage candidates to stake their claim too early to influence district lines. Well, I absolutely believe you should be setting a precedent tonight. That precedent should be that no elected official should be able to promote his or her self-interest by the use of redistricting. Redistricting is not meant for politicians to choose whom they represent. It is meant for citizens to have equal representation. It has been said I should have waited to begin my campaign. I apologize for causing this burden. I'm not a career politician. I'm just a regular guy who was compelled by my own family circumstance and many others to stand up and make a difference, to work for those who've been left out of the process. And I thought it important to begin that work as soon as possible. Furthermore, it was no secret I have been a vocal critic of our current school board, and I'm sure there was a sense that I was going to run for office. A candidate waiting for district lines to be drawn may also be a moot point, according to the Comptroller's Office. In fact, a county legislative body may reapportion at any time if the county legislative body deems such action necessary to maintain substantially equal representation based on population. This means Sumner County, being one of the fastest growing counties in the state, can literally move these lines at any time, causing future candidates to be removed from contention. This is another reason to set precedent tonight. You may also hear pushback about deadlines. As my understanding, as a legislative body, you have until the end of December to validate your redistricting maps. What you won't hear are denials of the alleged gerrymandering by any of the parties involved. In my opinion, anyone watching the video from the October 20th redistricting meeting can clearly see the immediate opportunity taken to remove my neighborhood. In my opinion, Ms. Brown looked confused about where her district lines fall, except for the certainty that my subdivision no longer belonged in her district. I find it despicable as I watch the video from the public meeting amongst elected officials. There would be whispering as decisions were being made, and also so many officials speaking at once. It's difficult to hear what's actually being said for the public record. I believe you can also see in the October 20th video citizens speaking directly to committee members, trying to advise that my neighborhood had just been targeted, but the actions of removal were continued. Of course, citizens were not given an opportunity on the agenda for public comment either. At the Legislative Committee meeting last week, it was argued great efforts have been made to involve public opinion in this process. Well, public opinion continues tonight, and great weight should be given. Please know, since we shared the October 20th redistricting video, it has been viewed nearly 2,000 times. And since we shared an online petition, it has reached over 5,000 citizens. So the public is concerned, and the public is watching. So I ask you tonight, please amend the resolution of the school board redistricting map to move Twin Eagles, which consists of Wildcat Run and connecting streets, back into District 9 from District 8 as proposed. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Graham. All right, that concludes our public comments tonight. We'll move on to our docketing of the Highway Public Works Fund analysis for the fiscal year 2021-2022. Do we have a motion to approve? Motion made by Commissioner Chris Taylor, seconded by Commissioner Sullivan. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? What's that? Already did. Yeah, your veteran service report's in your packet, and your financial statement memo as well. All right, consent agenda, remember that we removed two items, 2111-09 and 2111-13 will appear on the regular budget committee. Is there a motion to approve our consent agenda? Motion made by Commissioner Rhodes. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Kruger. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. Okay, I have Commissioner Jeremy Mansfield and Commissioner Mo Taylor voting no. Any other no's? Okay, motion passes 22-2. Thank you. All right, your written reports are in your packet. Is there a motion to approve the notaries? Motion made by Commissioner Mo Taylor. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Sullivan. Let's vote.
Notary applications on the board. Each commissioner, please record your vote. All 24 votes are entered. Does anyone wish to change your vote? Notaries are approved unanimously.
That's great. By a squeaker, the notaries win again. Keeps the streak alive. I know that joke's bad, but eventually it'll become funny with persistence. Committee on Committees, Mr. Goode.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Committee on Committees met tonight. It's a regular scheduled meeting at 6:30 on November 15th. There's 3 items on the agenda. That was Civil Service Board, Ed Williams, employee representative. The employees made that recommendation, as did the county mayor. It was unanimous, and I so moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Goode, second by Commissioner DeWitt. I see no one in the queue. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Mr. Goode.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Music City Executive Airport Authority makes a reappointment of Don Drayton. It's been the chairman. He's going to go back on a 5-year term. It was unanimous, and I so moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Goode. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Shell. See no one in the queue. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, I've got Mr. Taylor and Mr. Mansfield voting no. So by any other no's? So by a vote of 22-2, the motion passes. Mr. Goode.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Board of Construction Appeals, there were 2 for reappointments. Larry Brown, alternate, and Rick Holman, alternate. These are alternates that only show up when someone else doesn't. And it was unanimous, and I so moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Goode. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Tucker. See no one in the queue. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. I have the Mr. Mansfield, Commissioner Mo Taylor voting no. Motion passes by a vote of 22-2. Mr. Goode.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next month's business is listed, and that was it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Goode. Mr. Sullivan, Education.
Education did not meet this month. No report.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Emergency Services, Mr. Driver.
Yes, we did meet this month, and I just want to pass along that we heard from each of the different agencies involved, EMS and the ECC, about what has been done recently on the pay-in for them. For 2-3 months here, they were having issues where we were sending out a call for people to work at both of these things, Sheriff's Department, I believe, as well, and oftentimes not even having a single response. They are having a much better response now. They are anticipating hiring several people, and even though this is a nationwide problem, what has been done is helping that situation. I just want to pass that along to you all because they passed it along to us.
Thank you, Mr. Driver. If you will express our appreciation for the work that they're doing, that would be much appreciated. Thank you. Mr. Mansfield.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Have we voted as a legislative body on this appropriation for these salary increases?
It's not new money.
It's under the authority of the county mayor to be able to institute it as long as they have the appropriate savings in place. Both agencies do at this point, even since we're using the money to pay for it.
Yeah, can you hit your mic? Go ahead.
Try not to touch that, Mr. Kemp.
Hang on, let me let Ms. Denon go first.
Yep.
This is a temporary fix where, like, for example, at EMS, they had 30 spots for EMTs that were not being filled. So they took money they had basically saved because they had no one in the position. Same thing with the ECC, same thing with the sheriff's office and with the jail.
So we're taking previously budgeted money, not new money, only in order to fulfill this. So
Correct.
We're not using COVID money to do this?
There's some COVID money in that.
How much is it COVID money?
I have no idea how much that is, but it was done to stop the bleed. But it's no new money. It was money that was already in the budget.
Well, I mean, I think it's kind of important to know how much, I guess, COVID money is, especially if it's going to be a recurring expense that we're not going to have money for in however long time frame, and I guess we're going to have a deficit.
It's not reoccurring, however, the process was put in there to just do a stopgap until we could get people hired.
From the COVID funds?
No. For example, and I'm just going to take numbers here. If they're supposed to have 90 employees and they only have 60, there are 30 salaries there. And so they used part of that to pay shift differentials, a little bit of an increase, those type things, to give people an opportunity to earn more money.
So I remember, I guess, as it changed from budget a few months ago, when it's not been brought before the commission, it mentioned $4.5 million in salary increases for, I guess, EMS, E911, and I guess the Sheriff's Department. But it was a 2.5-year runway that we're going to run out of money and no way to fund this at the end. So has that changed, or is that still, you're saying we took that $4.5 million and we've taken that from current salaries that are open positions that we budgeted for. So we're funding that 2.5 years of salaries at $4.5 million. We're funding that from current salaries of unfulfilled positions. But what if we're going to fulfill positions? Where are we going to get the money? $4.5 million.
Well, I don't think I don't think it's anywhere near $4.5 million. The finance director could tell you the more detailed numbers. I just know they took positions that were already approved and were already funded and used it to be able to come up with some creative ways to offer people a little bit more money so they would be willing to work or would be willing to stay working for us because we were just bleeding people.
Yeah, and I understand the motivation, and I appreciate what our emergency services personnel do, but I guess I have a problem with we're funding something that we don't have a long-term goal for. I just see it setting us up for another tax increase, especially if it's the money that was mentioned before it's literally 7 pennies on the tax rate at the current valuation.
Mr. Mansfield, I feel at this point you've moved beyond the scope of your initial question, which is the Emergency Services Committee.
Well, he was talking about salaries.
Hang on, I got the floor. And I believe that what you're doing right now is merging several different things together. My understanding from Mr. Driver's report is that this is a stopgap measure while we're down 30 employees, not a 2.5-year process. I think what we can do is ask for budget or emergency services to give us an update next month on that question when they can pull together actual numbers. We can ask the finance director to put that together. We can get a report on that, but I don't think we can do that tonight.
That would be my request. It'd be great just to know if there's ARP funds being used, because that's one-time funds for a recurring expense, which is dangerous to do.
Yeah, I think we can do that.
Not advisable by the comptroller.
I think we can do that. Commissioner Motola?
Thanks.
I just got to clarify something that was stated during that interaction. Doing budgets for years, payroll and head count. I understand using money in open positions to give raises. Mm-hmm. Well, when you come up to the end of the year or start the next year, if you had 10 employees and the next year you want 10 employees, but you really only had 8 because you used 2 of them's salaries to pay the other 8. But if you come back and ask for 10 employees, again, you've increased your budget, because not only are you paying the 8 employees more than what you had budgeted, you're paying more for the other 2 as well if you keep that in your budget. So the only way is either to not ask for as many positions for that not to cause a stress on the process. That's just the only way.
And I would say that's a question that has to be resolved through the budgeting process.
Well, I would request that happen.
Sure. I think that's fair. Okay, thank you. Mr. Driver, anything else? Okay, thank you. General Ops, Michelle. Okay. Highway Committee, Mr. Hinton.
Well, I need to tell you that something was sent to us from this body. It was the infamous road with the 3 participants down next to the quarry that we're trying to get worked, and it got worked before we ever agreed to help work it. So somewhere or another that got kicked back to the Highway Department. I talked to the Superintendent of Highways, and we had nothing to contribute to that to that dialogue. So I'm here to tell you that it is nowhere. We took no action, didn't even have a meeting this month. So if that needs to go to another committee, then we need to decide where to send it, because I don't have anything from my committee to make any contribution onto that situation. So if you want to send it back to budget, or I don't know where it needs to go, because this deal's going on all the time, seems to me like.
Yeah, I'd say let's send it back to budget and let them look at it.
I'll so move.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Hinton. All right, legislative, Mr. Ring.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chairman. Resolution 2111-02, adopt a plan of reapportionment districting for the Board of Education. I so move.
Motion made by Commissioner Ring. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Goode. Mr. Sullivan.
Mr. Chair, I'm on the redistricting committee through legislative, and I was unable to attend last Monday evening's meeting. I was out of state with family, but I did go back and look at the video from October 20th, I think we, as a commission, should really consider the fact that if there's something that does look bad, whether it's a school board member or someone that wants to run, I happen to know both these people and have for many years, I think we need to take that into consideration. I think anybody that wants to serve for any office should be given that right to do so. So sometimes if it looks bad or it smells bad, it could be bad. So I would like to amend this motion to add back the Twin Eagles subdivision from District 8 back to District 9, if that deviation so allows.
Okay. All right, we've got an amendment offered by Commissioner Sullivan, second by Commissioner Mansfield, and the amendment is to add the Twin Eagles subdivision back into from District 8 to District 9, if allowable by the percentages.
I don't know how that's possible without reworking the maps.
Yeah, I think, Mr. Sullivan, our issue is going to be is that we'll have to consult to see if that's possible. I think the appropriate move would be, if we have a problem and want to make that move, is that we refer it or defer it back to the redistricting committee to take that under advisement.
And that's going to require
and that will require, we'll have to have a special called meeting and probably special called commission meeting. Okay, so I'll have to rule, Michelle, I'll have to rule the amendment out of order. Okay, I understand obviously what your intent is, and but I do believe that amendment is out of order. Commissioner Taylor, are you making a motion do you want to refer or defer? Refer is 16, no debate. Defer is 13. I made a list tonight, so we'd have this down. Defer. Okay. So Commissioner Mo Taylor is offering a motion to defer back to the redistricting committee. Will require 13 votes. That is debatable, and we have a list of people in the queue. Mr. Graves, do you want to speak to the? Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry. I didn't get a second. Seconded by Mr. Graves. All right. Commissioner Mansfield, do you want to speak on the motion?
All of it.
Okay.
I guess, why isn't Mr. Robertson here tonight?
He had another county he had to attend. That's what I was told.
Okay, I talked to him last Monday, and he said he could be here tonight, so I guess something changed. So that's unfortunate. So I did have some comments just about this process. You know, District Attorney General Ray Whitley stated at a GOP breakfast recently, don't do something that's shady, be honest, honorable, and above board. Gerrymandering is when politicians manipulate voting district boundaries for their own gain or for their party's gain, and that is considered shady, not honest, not honorable, and not being above board, the contrary of what our District Attorney General has said. You know, I did hear some comments and I heard some things said by citizens tonight. I guess there had been some members who had said that there was nothing intentionally done by moving the Twin Eagles subdivision out of the school board, District 9, and, you know, agreeing with what citizens have said tonight. When you look at the meeting, and I was there, the facts kind of tell a different story, and it's my opinion, it's the citizens' opinion, and the citizens here kind of attested to those facts. You know, I've heard members argue about this. I just want to speak in favor of us doing this and why it's important to do this. You know, again, it was said tonight, I guess the candidate said it, that, you know, you shouldn't declare so early because there's a chance they can be moved from their district. Well, it also could be argued that a candidate was intentionally moved from their district because they did declare early, not just because they declared early and got moved accidentally. So you can look at it the other way, and that's kind of what was brought here before citizens tonight. I've also heard it said the public input has been received to draw these lines. I heard that stated at a meeting. This is not true based on observation. The meetings I was at, public comment was left off of the redistricting committee agendas. It's the first time I've ever seen public comments not on the agendas in 3 years of being here. Additionally, it was stated that public comment was not required at these meetings. That was a shock to me because it's a direct violation of our standing rules and procedures. Our standing rules and procedures actually do state, I have them here tonight somewhere, that the public may address the commission concerning any matter on the agenda as approved for the current meeting of the commission. And so I was shocked to hear that during that meeting, that there was no public comment for the citizens to contribute on the 20th. And tragically, I think that happened. I've also heard it said that a precedent can be set to encourage early filing to manipulate district lines. So, I mean, I'll have a little bit of a hard time for that one because this is no disrespect to sitting commissioners, but we did manipulate district lines in order to keep a District 4 commissioner in her seat. And in order to, and we've heard it said from the floor before, it's been stated by the committee on committee chairman and the county mayor and others that we've never redrawn somebody out of their district. That was stated. And there was great effort and pains taken not to draw sitting commissioners out of their district. And that was a lot of pain taken over that. So I don't think that it's fair to say that it sets a precedent by us changing this to encourage people to manipulate voting lines when that's exactly what we've done during this process for current commissioners. I've also heard it said there's no time to move anything now. And, that was stated in the last meeting by the county mayor, and it's simply not true. As thankfully as tonight, as Mr. Chairman, you said we could have a special call meeting. We could move it to the committee, so I appreciate you acknowledging that. I know that would be a great relief to the citizens. So I just want to encourage you guys to please vote to move to refer this back to the redistricting committee so that this issue with the school board of redistricting can be done, since the CTAS representative is supposed to be here tonight and he's not. As he stated before, in our first meeting in August, this could be done in an hour if the politics were not involved. And we're almost 3 months later from that first meeting when he said that. So this has been a very long, and in my opinion, an unnecessarily long process. So this could be done very quickly. It's a matter of minutes to do the deviations and redrawing this back for our committee members. So I appreciate you voting to refer this back and us do the right thing and, in the words of our district attorney, not do something that's shady or perceived to be shady, as the senior commissioner from the 5th District said. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Mansfield. Mr. Driver.
Yes, I have several things to say on this, and I want to make it kind of clear up front that I'm on the fence on this. So I'm neither really speaking for or against it. I do want to say that during the last legislative committee meeting, I asked specifically if this could be changed on the commission floor. And the answer to that was yes in that legislative committee meeting. But we're not on the table. That's fine, but the difference there is it may have changed my vote one way or the other in that meeting had I known that we're saying we cannot change it tonight. I just want to make sure that that's clear. This whole process, I don't have any problem with anybody that's looking at that video and seeing that there was a lot of chaos going on, because as I was sitting in that meeting, I thought there was a lot of chaos going on, especially on the school board member meeting night. Everybody was coming up and trying to take their turns or whatever else. Some of them had neighborhoods they had for years that had been moved. They were trying to get moved back in, different things like that. So there was a lot of chaos going on there. I spoke to this young man that we're talking about tonight afterwards to tell him I had absolutely no clue he was running. I don't know how many people in that room did. And had I known that ahead of time on my end, I mean, that's just me, I may have had something to say about that on that night. Losing my train of thought here. I also do have a bit of an issue with the situation of we cannot. I talked to the election office today because I wanted to know about this. We cannot pick up petitions to run in a district until December 22nd. Okay, so the way that you might know somebody was be running is if you go and look through the appointments for political treasurer. Because after that last meeting, I went back and looked at that list and saw that his name was on there where he'd appointed a political treasurer. We also have 2 other commissioners here who are also being appointed or have appointed them, and I guess they're running for whatever district, and they will have to redo that if we vote for 24 tonight, because they will no longer be in that district, nor will I. And so I was asking the election office, I'm looking down the road here, is there something in the future that we could do to avoid this problem so that we don't have people that have signed up to run? And we were fortunate this time, it's one. What if there had been 16 running for different offices and we had to move those lines, you know, based on the numbers, and then we got 16 people who feel like they have been, you know, kept from running in their district. We were fortunate it was one. There's really nothing we can do that. The state sets those deadlines. Petition date right now is the 22nd, but you can appoint that treasurer, you know, pretty much any time. So 10 years from now when this comes around, that's still going to be a problem, just so you understand. I was hoping that we might avoid that in the future. I have no idea where somebody was trying to move a specific thing to keep this young man from running or not. I do not know. Somebody stated that they said something during the meeting. I can tell you I did not catch that. If I had heard that again, I might have looked into it in the meeting that night. I think my biggest issue here is I can see why it does look like, especially because of statements made during that meeting, that this was moved for a political reason. Although that was not said specifically in that meeting, you know, I can see that, and I have no idea yes or no on that. I'm kind of on the fence, but just I do understand why people can look at that video and think there was an issue. That's all I'd say on that.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Driver. Commissioner Mo Taylor. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Graves. I'm sorry. I thought Mr. Graves was making the second.
I did make the second, but.
Did you want to be in the queue because you were first?
Yeah, I'm in the queue, but go and let Bo.
Well, go ahead. We'll go to Commissioner Taylor next.
Right.
Sorry, Mr. Taylor.
I thought we'd have maybe I was wrong. I thought we'd have a presentation, have maps to show us exactly where all these places are. So it's something we can read sat on my phone or my computer at home. It's kind of hard to see on there even. But I thought we'd have it. So we're not going to have a presentation of maybe each district and have a separate slide so we can see where all these are at?
Mr. Graves, I think I won't speak for Mr. Ring. He can queue up, but I think the thing is we've sent the maps out once Wesley sent them back to us. We sent them out almost immediately to the committee, or excuse me, to the commission, so everybody could look at it. I assumed that everybody would look at it. If they had questions, they would come to one of the 5 meetings that we had to ask those questions. So I'm sorry that we don't have a presentation tonight, but I think I won't speak for the committee. They can certainly jump in the queue and speak for themselves. My thought is that if anybody had a question, they would reach out and we could try to answer those. So I apologize if you were expecting a presentation.
Mr. Chairman, this may not be proper. I've been called down before. I'd like to make a motion to defer all the.
That's what we're on now, Mr. Graves. We're on refer, right, or defer, I'm sorry. We're on.
Just school board.
Commissioner Mo Taylor made a motion to defer.
Okay. It's not possible to do it all at one time?
You want to defer all 3. Mm-hmm. Let's handle this one first, and then you'll have the opportunity to do that on the others if you'd like. I mean, I guess Commissioner Mo Taylor, if you would like to do this one, or if you'd like to defer all 3, you're the maker of the motion.
Deferring one, you might as well defer all 3 because I know other commissioners have questions, so I will recall my motion and change it to include all 3, to group and approve.
Okay. Okay, we'll come to you in just a second, Commissioner Taylor. Okay, so you're going to change your motion to all 3.
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Graves, you were the second on the original. Do you want to change your second to support his motion? Okay, so now we are on a motion to defer all 3 maps back to the redistricting committee. Okay?
And I was still in the queue.
Yes. Sorry, Mr. Taylor.
we good, Mr. Kemp?
You're good.
Okay. Well, I went to all of the redistricting meetings but one. I missed one. And through the process, I heard statements made that really made me think that you know, the true reason for this was being overlooked. What this should all be about is our citizens. I mean, ponder on that for a second. Just stop and think about that. I sat in these meetings and I heard people say, I don't want that area. I don't want them people. That's not, you know, those people I don't want. I hope they's watching the videos, because if you get them, maybe they'll remember that when it comes time to vote. I mean, this should be about the citizens and for the citizens. It shouldn't be about the politicians. I think Wesley stated at the very first meeting that I attended that this could have been done in one meeting.
Commissioner Taylor, can we focus on defer? I'm sorry.
One meeting? Well, maybe we can get it done in one meeting when it's deferred.
Okay.
So I haven't spoke on it, so I've been interrupted by the chairman.
No, I'll give you plenty of time to speak if we get back to the main motion. I'm just saying, like, you can jump back in the queue on the main motion.
Okay.
I'm just saying right now we're on defer.
Well, the reason that I moved to defer it was at the Board of Education, when we did the Board of Education part, I noticed that this public comment was not on the agenda. So I went to the clerk's attendant and asked her. She advised me she didn't do that agenda. She sent me to the legal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, next I went to the chairman and made him aware that public comment was not on the agenda. Then I went to the legal and I gave misinformation that it didn't have to be.
It does not have to be.
It's one of our rules. It does have to be.
It's state statute.
I don't care about state statute.
Okay, listen.
I go by our rules.
Look,
I mean, it's our rules. I'd like to get back to my main point.
I'm trying to help you. I'm not wanting an argument back and forth with you and the law director. I'm happy for you to get back to your point and discuss.
It wasn't about the people. If it was about the people, we'd have been having public comment that night. That's what it should have been about. I mean, had it been about the people, there wouldn't have been an oversight. And if you don't include your people in the areas that you're voting on who's going to represent them, you're leaving out the most important part. Because the last time I checked, they put me in that seat. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Mr. Hinton.
I'm about to get in over my head, so you just call me out of order whenever you get ready. The agenda went out, and on that agenda, it said that we were going to do this, what we're talking about doing here tonight, and that's set the districts. Now, if the position we've taken now is that we're not allowed to amend anything on this floor, I don't believe that. I believe there's a hole in that position. If any business that comes before this body ought to be eligible to be amended by this body. Now, again, I told you I was way in over my head, and I am. Mm-hmm. But I don't accept the fact that we can't make an amendment to what's presented to this body and bring it to a vote. Now, I believe if we have the authority to pass it unamended, surely to goodness we have the authority to amend it and then pass it. We do that on everything. So if we need a recess, if we need a this, if we need a whatever, mm-hmm. I don't think there's any need to leave here tonight and go through all this rigmarole again, getting ready to come back to a call meeting 4 or 5 days from now and have the same vote in front of us that we're going to have here tonight if we're allowed to amend it.
Okay. Mr. Hinton, I'm going to take your advice. I'm going to call for a 5-minute recess. I'm going to consult with the law director and see what we can come up with, and then Commissioner Taylor, I will come back to you because you have the motion on the floor. Let's take a 5-minute recess.
You didn't get rolled out of order.
I didn't. I got through it and shut up quick.
Meeting back to order. First, let me give you everybody an update so we're all on the same page. First, we talked to Wesley. He is in beautiful Humphreys County tonight, working with their team. So he wanted us to know that he didn't like abscond and run away or something. He's actually doing maps further. But he did what we had him do was look and see what the differences were between District 8 and District 9. When I ruled Mr. Sullivan out of order, I believe that I erred. I wish that I'd called a recess then and checked with Wesley, because what we found is that the variations between District 8 and District 9 is like one's 2.5 and one's 2.8.
One is 2.5 plus and one is 2.8 negative.
So we're in about a 5 threshold. If you remember, we have a 10 threshold, 10% threshold that we have to be in. So moving houses, a couple hundred houses or a couple hundred people should not affect the map. I think that if we can go back to Mr. Sullivan's original motion, because I ruled incorrectly on his motion, on his amendment when I ruled it out of order. Commissioner Taylor, would you be willing to remove your motion to refer? Okay.
And in that, if this does come back as an error,
yeah,
as not being able to put him back, that we have a special call meeting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, thank you, I think that what we would want to clarify, Mr. Sullivan, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but if we can add to your original amendment that we do this pending Wesley checking the actual census blocks to make sure that we're still legal within the 10%. If not, then we would have to initiate a special called meeting to make sure that we get those proportions right so that we're legal. Is that?
Could I get a timeline of when that may be to us all?
Yeah, we'll have him do it as quickly as possible. Hopefully.
I suspect we can probably get it done tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I do, just so everybody knows, I meant to say this at the start and I should have. You know, as someone mentioned, you can't pull, I think Mr. Driver mentioned, you can't pull a petition to run until either December 20th or December 22nd, so, or 20th. So anyway, late December. We want to give Ms. Ashley's office time to be able to get everything lined up to the best of their ability. So I would like for us to get this done tonight if we can. All right, so I'm going to go back to Mr. Sullivan.
I'd like to amend 2111-02 to add back the Twin Eagle subdivision from the proposed District 8 back to District 9 school board, if the deviation allows.
Second. Okay, Mr. Graves was the original second. Mr. Graves, are you okay with that? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Mr. Metzer, are you okay with that? Okay, I'm sorry. Mr. Graves was the second on Commissioner Taylor. I'm sorry. Okay. All right. We've got several people in the queue to speak. Mr. Becker, do you want to speak on this still?
No.
Okay.
I'll come back to the next one.
Okay. Ms. Kruger.
Speaking on the amendment, Sullivan's amendment to just move that neighborhood now?
Yes.
Just the school board?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll come back.
What's that?
I'll come back.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ms. Kruger. Ms. Shell.
Chris Taylor.
I'm sorry, Mr. Taylor, then Ms. Shell. Sorry.
No, sir, Danny fixed it.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Shell?
I'll hold off for now.
Okay. Commissioner Ring.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to point out something that hasn't really been discussed yet with regards to this, is that the vast majority of of District 9 currently is zoned for Gallatin schools. This area is not zoned for Gallatin schools. It is zoned for Liberty Creek schools. So I just wanted to point that out in case that made a difference to anyone in their decision.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ring. Ms. Kruger.
I do want to, there's one thing that's relevant I would like to add, and that's, I watched this meeting as well. I agree with several of the comments were made about not being able to necessarily hear what every individual was saying, and a lot of talking going on through the room. I will say, though, when someone said that there were no other subdivisions specifically called out by name and moved, that I vividly heard my subdivision called out by name and moved, and it is moved. I'm okay with that, but I just want to make sure everybody knows that it's not just this one subdivision that was called out by name, because I know for a fact mine was too. And it was moved, and I'm not arguing the point other than that did happen. So I just don't want to make it look like it was just this one subdivision. I know there were others that were moved as well. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kruger. Mr. Good.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm a little bit on the same of what Ms. Kruger just said and Mr. Driver's comments earlier, just for clarification, because it is, I haven't seen this video that's moving around Facebook. I'm going to bet it's not the entire meeting. So just for clarification, everyone that has spoke here tonight got up and had the opportunity to go to the meeting and to go to the map and was asked, everyone here that has spoke so far was asked if they wanted to move some, if they were comfortable with the way the redistricting was and had the opportunity to make changes. And to my knowledge, about 99% did. So I just want to make the clarification on that. It wasn't one person, and that's it on the amendment.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Good. Michelle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to point out and clarify a couple of points as well. It was stated during public comments that the committee mostly focused on making sure we were within the deviation. And one of the other points that was brought out was that it was contiguous and compact, and that was not maybe addressed as much. But that was actually one of the main reasons that that school board district was brought up, was because it was not compact. It stretched from one area of the county to the other area of the county. And so we were trying to make that more compact. So a little bit of a disagreement there with that one comment. Also, I heard her say in public comments that she was trying to tell another member, voice a concern that she had. I did not personally hear that concern. I did not hear her voice that concern. I did hear her voice a concern at a previous meeting in which we had a conversation about it, and I brought her concern to the floor, and we adjusted that. So it wasn't intentional that we just wasn't listening to her. I honestly did not hear her, because I did at the previous meeting, and we did make that adjustment based upon her suggestion. I also, just for a point of clarification, Twin Eagles does sit in my commission district. I went back again today and just re-looked at the emails that I've received. We have heard a lot tonight about voter suppression, and we're, suppressing votes. That we don't ever want to keep someone from voting, obviously. We want as many people to vote as often as we can. The state legislator deems how those districts are ran. That, to my knowledge, I know specifically the commission district because I've called and asked about it. If we could align ours so that we run on opposite years versus all of us being elected at the same time, and that is a state decision that I received information on. But there are also other subdivisions within our county that will fall under that same guidelines where they were able to vote and they won't be able to vote, just the way that the lines draw. It's not like this specific neighborhood, again, was, pulled out and targeted. There are 400, I think, and 26 homes in Twin Eagles. And again, that is my specific commission district, and I have received one email from that neighborhood with a concern about this school board districting. And so I just want to clarify that. If we're being accused of suppressing votes, I've had one person call and contact me about it or email me about it.
Okay. Thank you, Michelle. Mr. Ring.
Yeah, just a couple more comments for clarification. Since my name was mentioned in public comments, I did want to say that, yes, I was asked if that subdivision that was being changed to District 8, I guess, was Twin Eagles, and my response was, I don't know the names of all those subdivisions, which is honest. I mean, I don't. They're on the other side of town from where I live. I'm not over there very often. I have no idea what the names of those subdivisions are, so I really didn't know. But the video that has been on Facebook was 20 minutes long. This has been referred to by many people as 20 minutes long. The meeting lasted an hour and 45 minutes. we gave every school board member who was there the opportunity to look at their districts and look at where the lines were and what we needed to do. One of the earlier commenters mentioned that needed to take minority representation in as much as possible. One of the things that the commissioner from that district said, or the board member from that district said, was she wanted to keep the north side of our Clearview area in that district, because that's where they've been and that's where they should continue to be, and that is a majority-minority area. So that was one of the things that we did look at. We also tried to make it as compact as possible, as has been mentioned. Basically, the district is east of 109 and south of Red River Road, and so it's got very specific lines. We try to use natural boundary lines to make the districts, roads, highways, bridges. Roads, highways, rivers, whatever, creeks. Thank you. But so we try to do that way. I believe in the committee process. I always have. So I believe we should move on to other things. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ring. Mr. Mansfield.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just want to clarify that all of our committee meetings, I usually am responsible for recording most of them, are on our county's YouTube channel in full. It's like the commissioner said, it's like an hour and 47-minute long video, so I'm not sure of any other, but that's available to all citizens, which is fantastic for commissioners who can't make meetings. That's the intention of that, so you can actually know what was dialogue debated. And also, as citizens have spoken here tonight about what's going on, a lot of people might not know what's going on, and so it's our job to not do anything shady, of ill reproach or things that could reflect negatively on this legislative body, which is why I'm appreciative that we are doing this tonight, to be above board and above reproach on everything. And again, during the last meeting, public comment was not available, and it was denied to citizens. So just because a citizen has a sidebar conversation with one commissioner doesn't mean that they can address the whole committee. And as a senior commissioner from District 3 said, it was a chaotic meeting, which was very hard to hear what was going on, what was being said, and it was just disorderly. And so it definitely was a difficult meeting to be able to process information or anybody to speak in a manner that was beneficial to all. So I just wanted to clarify that, but just it's important and imperative that we take into considerations, especially in committee meetings. I don't care what a statute says. I care that citizens have a constitutional right to address their representatives with a redress of their grievances. That's a constitutional right. And a lot of statutes and laws exist that are unconstitutional. Just because one exists doesn't mean it's constitutional. So we need to take into consideration every meeting. I think it's censorship and it's poor taste and poor form and poor judgment to ever not allow public comments in any meeting that affects directly the public. So I would ask that we take that into consideration moving forward for committee meetings such as this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I would just like to clarify. I hear what you're saying, Mr. Mansfield. I would say, because I always believe, and I think that I've always tried as chair to allow citizens to speak within the rules of decorum of the commission. I think probably what happened in those, as everyone's mentioned, they were, the meetings were chaotic with a lot of participation. I think everybody felt like the public had the opportunity to participate, but at the same time, having formal citizens' comments is an important practice for us. So I think we had a lot of citizen input in the meeting, but we did not have the formal citizens' comments. So I think that's something that we can do better, and I think we should try to do better on. Okay, there's no one in the queue. A yes vote is to pending approval from our CTAS representative that it meets the legal requirements, is to move the Twin Eagles subdivision from District 8 into District 9. A no vote is to reject the amendment and to return to the main motion.
And he believes it's okay.
Yeah, and Ms. Denon has consulted with Wesley, and he believes that it will meet the requirements. Yeah.
The amendment is on the board. Each commissioner, please record your vote. $22 votes are entered. Anyone not voting wish to vote? Anyone wish to change your vote? With 18 affirmative votes, the amendment is approved. We're on the main motion as amended.
Okay. So I see no one in the queue. Let's vote on the main motion.
The main motion as amended is on the board. Each commissioner, please record your vote. All 24 votes are entered. Does anyone wish to change your vote? With 21 affirmative votes, the resolution is approved as amended.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kemp. All right, we will now go to, back to Mr. Ring.
Page here. Motion to adopt Resolution 2111-03 and 2111-04, adopting redistricting plans for Sumner County.
Okay.
And I so move.
Motion made by Commissioner Ring. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Good. I think what I would suggest we do, I think what's fair to do is to put both on the board at the same time, and you vote green for one, red for the other. We will commence and have a thorough debate on each of the resolutions, full commission debate. If you would like, I would ask that if you're going to make an amendment to one of, I would ask, please, we're going to have to be really clear. I'm a little hesitant, although I know we just opened Pandora's box with what we did on the school board maps. I would encourage us as a body to be cautious about trying to rework the maps from the floor. If it's something cosmetic, I would say we leave it. If it's something substantive, then we address it. That's just sheer advice from me presiding over, but we'll accept any amendments that are legal, or not legal, but within our rules. But then at the end of our debate, we will vote green for one, red for the other, and we'll get a resolution on the 12 or the 24 tonight. The motion has been made and properly seconded. Mr. Becker, you are first in the queue.
All right. Appreciate it. Ms. Denon, you had percentages of the school board districts. Can you tell me what the same percentages are for districts 21, 22, and 23 of county commission?
I'll have to call Wesley. That was the number he just gave me when I called him on the phone.
Okay.
Can we? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Ray. Sorry.
Give me those again.
21, 22, 23. Those, I currently represent, most of my district is currently on the Indian Lake Peninsula, and on the 24 map version, there's 3 districts, 21, 22, and 23. So it doesn't make sense to me, so I was just curious about percentages there. But, you know, my main thing, I wasn't able to attend some of the committee meetings. I did watch on the YouTube channel and so forth, and then I attended last Monday's legislative meeting with the understanding that I would have the opportunity to, Wesley was going to be there with the map and so forth, and I know he unfortunately fell ill and wasn't able to do that. I made it clear, I think Commissioner Driver also mentioned earlier tonight, was we would have the opportunity to make amendments on the floor tonight. And then I also mentioned that the idea of me working with Wesley, in the meantime, meeting with Wesley last week to see if my recommendations or my proposals even made sense with the census blocks, which I was previously not overly familiar with. Anyway, I was disappointed when I was told by the committee of that chairman as well as our legal director that I was not allowed to speak with Wesley, and that the committee was the only one that could talk to Wesley about it. So I was extremely disappointed to find that out, because last Monday night it was clear, it was made clear, my request was clear. So I feel that my voice has not been heard at all. I would like to make a motion to refer both of these back to the redistricting committee.
Okay. Hang on, what was your motion, Mr. Becker?
Whichever one's the 13 would debate. How about that?
And I have texted him, I haven't heard back from him. I'd like to speak to the question about the not
Can you
talking,
hit your microphone, please?
the not talking to Wesley. Wesley's comment to me initially was, I answer to your committee and your commission. I don't know that I can individually speak to each of your county commissioners. And I said, I understand that. He gave me a number of how many commissioners he's responsible for, some kind of, and I get that, I get the math. And so we just asked if anybody had questions. I had hoped he would be here tonight. I understand. We got him early in the process because we're big. He's now out in the counties where there are small and so much fewer people. I'm trying to get him right now. Okay. District 21, I'm just getting a text from him, is positive 2.34. District 22 is positive 2.55. District 23 is negative 1.39. And see, I don't know how that would match up if we tried to change several districts without having, you know.
Correct.
All right,
yeah.
well, I think.
So without him here, I mean, it's a 5-minute, 10-minute meeting with him could have answered all my questions. And so I was forced to bring my questions tonight, and he's not here. I want to interject opinion on that. But, so yes, I move to defer the 13
Hang on,
with
let me go back
debate.
to my chart, Mr. Becker.
13 with debate.
Defer is 13 with debate.
Yes. Actually, what my preference would be to us to vote 24 or 12 and then defer that. Whichever one wins, if you will, then defer that one single map back to the committee.
And that's possible.
And that way, that committee's focus could be just on 12 or just on 24,
Let me
instead of
check.
sending both back.
Let me consult in 1 second,
Okay.
Mr. Becker.
And we can do that. We can do that, but recognize we're going to have to immediately have to turn around and have a redistricting committee and a special commission meeting as quickly as possible.
Okay. All right, so let me, Ms. Denton, listen to me, make sure I get the wording right on this. So, Mr. Becker, let me make sure that I'm capturing what you want. Your preference would be
Vote up or down, 12 or 24.
vote up or down. I think what you would be doing is not a motion to refer or defer, but an amendment to vote for one of the maps and then send it to the redistricting committee to check everything, the legalities of everything, and then bring it back to a special called commission meeting to approve the final map. Is that correct? Because I don't think that we can do I don't think the motion to refer or defer would allow us to make a vote on a map and then immediately refer or defer. I think we'd have to do an amendment.
I think basically you would be creating sort of a new resolution that says, hey, we're going to decide tonight, and let's just make up numbers, because you know you can have between 9 and 25. Let's just decide tonight, we're going to have 17 county commissioners. And if you did that, and then it would go back to the redistricting committee. So what you're saying is that you would either pick the 12 or the 24. And then that's what we would operate with when we have the redistricting committee.
Correct. That was my latest question,
That's
yes.
what I thought. Yeah.
Clarification.
Okay, give me 1 second, Mr. Taylor. I'll come back to you, I promise. I just want to, I want to think to make sure that I got this right. Okay, go ahead.
Can we get the microphone on so citizens?
If you vote up or down, one or the other, the 12 or the 24, you move the 12, for example, it passes, you immediately move to reconsider, and you send it back.
Okay. I think that's right. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Taylor. Thank you for that clarification.
So the first thing you got to do is withdraw. It's first month.
You'd have to withdraw your motion to refer, but it doesn't have a second right now anyway. Oh, it did, okay, okay. If you want to remove your motion to refer, then you can make the motion immediately after we choose one to reconsider and send that to or back to redistricting.
Okay. Okay. And then, I mean, without getting, at this point, debating between, without getting into the option, or the debating which option I'm in favor right now, I mean, one of the two options I wouldn't want to send it back. If it ends up in the other options, then I would want to send it back. So, you know, however we end up getting to that.
Honestly, like if you liked the option that prevails, you
just
wouldn't have to make the motion to reconsider.
Right.
Now, you will have to, the motion to reconsider would have to be made by someone who voted for the winning map. The prevailing side.
Right, the prevailing side.
So, for instance, if you wanted to send the 12 back, you'd have to, not you, but someone would have to, the person that makes the motion to reconsider would have to vote for the 12, or if it's the 24, they would have had to have voted for the 24.
Okay.
Just so we're all on the same page.
So I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Becker. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Mr. Mansfield.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. So I guess, are we speaking on both 12 and 24 right now?
You can speak on both, yes, sir.
Okay, great.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm just, basically, I'm speaking in opposition to the 24. Simple fact that it's 24 districts, in my opinion, gives less representation. Right now, each Sumner County voter has a better chance to have 100% representation with 2 commissioners per district, especially, Mr. Chairman, I'll use us as an example. We usually vote for the notaries, and we've got a good record on that, but we're on the opposing sides on a lot of things. In that system, our district is 100% represented fairly, in my opinion, because if you vote one way, I vote another, there's 100% representation of somebody's opinion in our district. And so a representative district is definitely how our country was founded. But if you have just a 1 rep system, you have a greater chance of having 0 representation. It increases that odds. So definitely 2 districts can give you greater representation. A couple of facts, just how Tennessee's structured. A majority of Tennessee counties do have 2 or 3 more commissioners per district. Out of 95 counties, approximately 79 have 2 or 3 commissioners per district, and a lot of them actually have 3 per district in the state of Tennessee, believe it or not. So that's approximately 85% of county commission districts have 2 or more commissioners per district. So that definitely is, it's unprecedented and definitely not commonplace to do 1 commissioner per district. Again, that'd be 16 counties with 1. And so some of those are metro forms of government, which, going to 24 commission districts, to me, is my opinion, a step towards a metro type of government, which I'm utterly opposed to here in Sumner County. Some structural facts that I did find out: every census, according to CTAS, less than 3 to 4 counties in the state may implement structural changes, according to when I spoke to Wesley from CTAS. And this year, he only knew of 1 county in the state that was doing any kind of structural change to their county government, and that was to reduce the number of commissioners. CTAS recommends highly to reduce commissioners, not increase commissioners when it comes to redistricting or any kind of census information. They definitely like to see smaller numbers than larger numbers. And as I stated before tonight, I don't know who said it, but I know roughly at least 55 years Sumner County has had 2 commissioners or 2 representatives. Back prior to 1978, I believe they're called magistrates, and it was called the County Circuit Court, or the Quarterly Court, if I'm not mistaken. Mr. Hyde might be able to correct me on that. And so definitely we have a long-standing precedent of only having 2 commissioners in Sumner County. I don't see any reason to change this form of government. It works well. It's, in my opinion, as I explained before, I think it's very representative of the citizens and gives you a better chance of having representation with 2 commissioners per district. And redistricting is all about the citizens, as the senior commissioner from District 1 said tonight. It should be based on the number of people who need representation. And when you have 2 commissioners per district to reach out to, you definitely are going to increase your representation in that district, especially if the other 2 happen to be on opposing sides of an argument. So I appreciate you guys voting no for District 24 districts and voting yes for the 12 district. I would encourage you guys to please do that. Citizens I've heard from, that's all they want to see. They don't want to change our form of government right now. It's not prudent. And so please vote for 12. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mansfield. Mr. Graves.
Mr. Chairman, Where did the, I'm sure CTAS, but what decided to put this on the agenda to change from 12 to 24? I don't know if that's a good question or not, but.
I'm trying to figure out how I can.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how I can answer it without engaging in the debate. I can tell you, like, let me see if I can stick within the law of what we covered at the first meeting, and Ms. Denon can jump in if I misstate. According to state law, we can have as few as 9 or as many as 25. I think, like, the things that I have heard said, well, I'm going to let other people speak to that. I'm not going to engage in the debate. But Mr. Graves, I would encourage you, if your question is not answered, to jump back into the queue and ask the question again. I'll be happy to give you my opinion after we get done with the debate, but we'll have already voted by then. But I think, like, legally, we can consider between 9 and 25. Just like I think earlier when we were discussing school board, the law on school board is the maximum is 11, I believe, is the maximum you can have on a school board. So state law dictates the minimums and the maximums, and so that's kind of the thought process of what to consider.
And there was conversation on that someone said to me about, well, what about 24 or 22 county commissioners?
Yeah.
And tie those two with the school board district.
Yeah, there were some considerations of doing 22 and having 2, like, to match the school board districts and have 2 per, just like we do now, but reduce the number of commissioners by 2. Ultimately, the committee decided to keep, with either map, to keep the same number of commissioners, 24, which is within the 9 to 25 legal limit. Okay.
Can I help clarify that a little bit also?
Sure, go ahead, Mr. Ring.
Thank you. At the first meeting, and in the handbook that was previously mentioned, it talked about what you said, but one of the things that Wesley Robertson from CTAS said was that if you're ever going to make a change, it's best to do it when you're doing the redistricting. They're trying to do it between redistricting times, just confuses people, and we can do it anytime. We can redistrict every year if we wanted to. I mean, obviously we don't want to do that. But the best time to make a change, if there was going to be one, was at the time of redistricting. And on that note, I was asked at the first meeting if we were looking at doing 24s, and I said no, because we weren't. We hadn't had any discussion whatsoever, and then it came up in that meeting, and we decided to go ahead and look at both possibilities.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ring. Ms. Kruger, sorry.
I just wanted to point out that it can also be said that by decreasing the size of a district by half, you're also going to get more time and attention from your one county commissioner. I think that can work both ways, is my point. You're not taking a district that's got 16,000 people in it and taking them from 2 representatives down to 1. You're taking a district from 16,000 people to 8,000 people and giving them 1 representative, and then the other 8,000 have another representative. I don't think it's fair to say, I'm just not sure that it's fair to say one or the other is more representation. The other thing is, these maps have, when you were looking for the deviations earlier, each of these maps has the deviations printed on them for each district. And I have them over here if anybody wants to see those or use them.
Okay. All right, thank you, Ms. Kruger. Commissioner Mo Taylor.
The first district stands to gain the most land mass
in the northern hemisphere
from the 12 district configuration. And I'm running again 12 or 24, so that's fine with me. I mean, gas money is always appreciated, but anyways, that the 12 is something that's been as long as I can remember, and people don't like change. I mean, they don't. People's going to be changed from this. There's certain people that'll be changed, but to change the whole makeup of the whole body, of the legislative body of the county, I've had many people tell me not to do that. And but if you look at that, making it smaller, yeah, it would be easier to represent a smaller area. Be a lot easier. I mean, you'd have to drive as far, all of that, but it's about the people. And so the people in our area, they don't like that ideal. I mean, the vast majority, in my opinion. And it's different maybe, but this kind of change isn't needed. And like I said, during the legislative committee, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Taylor. Mr. Driver.
Yeah, I just have a few comments here. I very much like the last thing we just voted on. I'm a little bit on the fence here. My district, much like the last person that spoke, is massive. I go from the Trousdale County line, if we, in the new 12, I go from the Trousdale County line to the Cottontown Fire Hall. And it's very difficult for me to see the folks over by the Cottontown Fire Hall thinking of Mr. Graves and I over in Bethpage as being their commissioners. I mean, that's a pretty good trip. Take me about 25, 30 minutes to get over there probably. On the other hand, I built relationships with the folks that are in my district right now, especially on the other side of 31E that would no longer be there if we go to 24. So there are pluses and minuses. On the 24 side, I actually believe that maybe having a smaller district is probably a good thing because of that massive amount. That's the biggest probably pro to me of doing it is that there would be, a smaller amount of district. I feel like people could get to know the people in their district better and maybe represent them better because they, we're not having somebody from one end to the other. I don't think that's as much of an issue in Hendersonville. The districts in Hendersonville are fairly small. People-wise, they're not, but geographically, they're pretty small. And so whether you're doing 12 or 24, they're fairly small. When you get out in our area, it is quite a bit of a difference. And I know a lot of people have heard me say this, but I'm going to say it again just to be on the record here today. If I vote for 24 today, I'm going to have about 10% maybe of the district I've had in the past. The rest of it will be all new folks for me, which is both good and bad. I mean, that's a new adventure, get out and meet new folks, and everything. But it's, I am on the fence here. So if anybody else has anything to say about it, that I welcome that. You may be ready to go home, but I'm trying to make my mind up, and we'll see what happens here.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Driver. Mr. Hinton.
I'd like to call for the question, please, sir.
Okay. Mr. Hinton is called for the question. Do we have to have a second on call for the question? Yeah. Okay. I need a second on call for the question. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Foster. All right. So a yes vote on call for the question requires 16 votes. A no. So a yes vote is to call the question. No more debate. We proceed to the vote. A no vote is to continue discussion. This does require 16 votes. Let's vote.
Call for questions on the board. Each commissioner, please record your vote. All 24 votes are entered. Anyone wish to change your vote? With 13 affirmative votes, call for question fails to carry.
Okay, we'll go to Mr. Gamenden.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's no secret, I'm not running for re-election, but I do look forward to going to the poll, and when I vote for county commissioner in my district, it will say vote for one. If there's 3 people running for election, then I don't have to try to decide which 2 to vote for. I will know which one to vote for. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gamenden. Mr. Ring.
Thank you, sir. A couple more comments about the district's situation. Talking to the people from the Election Commission after our last meeting, they said that if we end up with the 24 districts, they'll probably have somewhere between 3 and 5 new polling places. So they are anticipating an increase in polling places if we do the 24 districts. As was previously said also, if you've got 16,000 people in one of 12 districts or 8,000 people in one of 24 districts, I believe that the 24 districts will provide better representation. as has kind of been mentioned, if we go with the 12 districts, literally 2 districts will have approximately 1/2 of the county area. And that's a lot of area for people to represent. And I think you get better representation if you have fewer residents. A suggestion was made about cutting back the number of representatives. I'll be happy to vote. If tonight we want to cut it down to 12 districts and 12 representatives, I'll be happy to make that motion if that's what this commission wants. So we can make that decision tonight too. We can vote down both of these, and I'll be happy to make a motion to have 12 representatives in 12 districts, because I believe that 1 representative per district is better than 2. Maybe that's because I come from Gallatin, where city council has 1 representative per district, and it works quite well. Virtually every place I've ever lived, there's been 1 representative per district, and it works everywhere very well. We have 2, I understand that, but I believe that 1 will represent better, especially if we go with the 24 districts. And comment was made by one of the speakers that people didn't know what district they were going to be in. Well, that's true, because when the lines came out, we didn't know what district we were going to be in, and that's why we have the legislative committee that's why we had the redistricting committee, was to determine what districts we were going to have. So I believe very strongly in 24 districts, or if we vote them both down, I'll be happy to make a motion to do 12 districts and 12 commissioners.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ring. Mr. Wright. Sorry, Mr. Wright, we lost you there for a second when we had to call for the questions.
That's fine. I'm short. I'm used to being looked over. I have not seen or heard what I consider a real advantage to going to 24 districts. If you have 10,000 people in a district and you have 2 commissioners, you're still representing 10,000 people. Irregardless of how you do the division, the multiplication, the addition, it all comes out the same. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Mr. Sullivan.
I believe that, I know District 1, we've heard from both of those commissioners who I think have no problem with keeping it the way it is with 12. I think someone stated earlier we've had 12 districts for the past 50 years in Sumner County. I know if we go to 24 districts, we're going to have, I know at least 1, possibly 2 districts that we don't have a commissioner that right now that would be that would run in that district, so it would be somebody new. As far as Gallatin, I believe right now the way the current maps are drawn, and we have a possibility of someone in District 3, 4, 5, and 6, if they chose to run, they live in the Gallatin city limits, could be elected. Part of those districts I know are in Hendersonville or in another, in another municipality, but the representation possibilities are there if those people in those districts choose. So I support 12.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Mr. Hyde.
Mr. Chairman, there's no public clamor to change this. That's a good enough reason. To the contrary, people want it to stay pretty much as it is. If it's working well, don't change it.
Thank you, Mr. Hyde. Mr. Mansfield.
Just want to make one clarification about if you did 24 districts with 24 commissioners, big difference between a county commission and a city. A city staggers those elections every 2 years. County commission cannot by state law. So that is, it's comparing apples to pineapples. I mean, you can't, it's not even comparable as far as an argument. And again, if you get stuck with 1 commissioner in your district that does not represent your views, which might be 50% of the people might not, that's a 0% chance of having representation with 1 commissioner versus 2, you're spreading that out, that you're going to have at least a 50% chance of having 100% representation. So you can't compare a city to a county, especially when you cannot stagger the things that have 1 representative are cities and school boards, and that they stagger their elections every 2 years. And so we can't do that, and that's not what's before us tonight. And so, again, echoing the senior commissioner from the District 8 and District 1, I've never seen as much change. In 3 years being here, I was born and raised in Hendersonville, lifelong Sumner County resident. I've never seen so much change in county government. I don't understand the reasons why, but definitely there's no reason to change our form of government here in Sumner County. It just makes no sense, and there's no reason to, and there's nobody clamoring for it to happen. They're actually saying the opposite from citizen comments tonight and feedback. So, again, I ask that we get rid of the 24 consideration. That was brought forth, my understanding, from somebody who's not even running for office again, which I don't think is fair for the county commission. So it was asked when it was brought forward, how did this get on there? And so vote for 12. That's what I ask you guys to do and honor the citizens' request. Thank you.
Commissioner Mo Taylor.
Yeah, based on some of the comments that was just made, I don't know really what to think here. I've been asking for one thing, anytime it comes up about elections, senior commissioner from the 3rd District there, we've been asking for voting precincts. So what is this, a dangling carrot tonight at the 11th hour? We're going to add 3 voting precincts if you vote for my 24 district plan?
No, I don't think it's that, Mr. Taylor.
Well,
I think
that's sure what it sounded like to me.
Well, if I can finish my sentence, I had a similar conversation with Ms. Ashley, and she said because of state law, if we put the 24 in, because you have to have precincts within a certain geographic area of districts, so that would equate to 3 to 5 or 4 to 6 new precincts predominantly in the northern part of the county. And I will say you've always asked for more precincts up there. I don't think it's a dangling carrot. I think it's a statement of the law.
Well, the law needs to be changed to where you didn't have to change the districts from 12 to 24 to get more voting precincts.
Mm-hmm.
When you represent, like I said, proud to do it. I'll take a bigger area. It doesn't matter to me.
Mm-hmm.
But when you represent over half of the county in 2 districts and you've only got 2 voting precincts in each district, you're not looking out for the people, because the people's having to drive a lot further and everything else. And I know about convenience. We pass convenience voting, and that's just fraud voting, in my opinion. So, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Mr. Becker.
All right, so going back to the percentages here, what are the allowable, remind me, what are the allowable ranges?
Your highest and lowest out of proportion has to be less than 10%. So you can have like 1 at 6 and 1 at 4. It had to be less than, so like 6 and 3.8 or something like that. Your total variance has to be less than 10%.
Okay, and these percentages are based upon the growth from, like when, example, 22 is plus 2.55. What does that mean?
It means that it's 2.25% above, like they create a median population that a district should have. Okay. So like, for instance, on the 12 map, it's 16,000 something. Okay. On the 24 map, it's 8,000 something. So what they're telling you, if it's plus 2.2, it means it's 2.25% above that median.
Okay, and I know they're on the maps here. Does anyone have a handy, what is the largest plus percent and what's the smallest negative percent?
Yeah, you'd have to look on the map. I believe it's, I believe on the 2 commission maps, I believe we were somewhere around 8.9, 9.3, somewhere in there. If you take the large, so I think it was like one was 4.8 and one was 4.3 or something like that.
Like negative, like there was like a net positive 4, negative 4, roughly?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So I would like to, because it's good, a lot of good debate here. I want to go ahead and make an amendment on the 24 map, just in case it passes, because I'm in favor of the 12, because I don't think my motion to reconsider would fly. And my amendment to the 24 map would be specifically related to districts 22 and 23. I reside in the new district 21, so it's not even it would not be my new district, but it is my current district, and so I'm looking out for my constituents there. My amendment would be to move the portion of 23 that is on the Indian Lake Peninsula, but south of Gallatin Road. Okay? So it's the portion of District 23 that's south of Gallatin Road. The amendment would be to move that to District 22. Correct. So you're looking at Saranac, Burris. I mean, there's not many there's not many houses in that area, but there are a few. But yes, so again, it's within that little section. You've got Hendersonville High School is located there. Ellis Middle School is located there. Kroger Shopping Center, if everybody that's familiar with that general area. But again, it's the south of Gallatin Road, moved from 23 to 22.
Okay, hang on one second. I want to make sure I got this down, Mr. Becker.
Okay.
Okay, so let me repeat this back, make sure this is what I'm hearing. So your amendment would be to take the Indian Lake Peninsula south of Gallatin Road from District 23 to District 22, pending that it meets the guidelines of our 10% rule.
Correct, yes.
I think we need anything that we do, we need to include that in there just to make sure.
That's fair.
Okay, is there a second?
Oh, come on, there we go.
Who had this? Mr. Hyde? Okay, so we had a motion and a second on the amendment for Indian Lake Peninsula south of Gallatin Road. Mr. Graves, Mr. Ring, you are in the queue. Do you wish to speak on? Okay.
So just if I can just expand on that.
Sure.
So again, so the way the maps currently sit, District 21, which would be my new district, is the vast majority of the peninsula. 22 is more of an east-west corridor that goes, from the Indian Lake Peninsula all the way over to, goodness, Chute Lane, Shoreside Drive area. And so this little piece that I'm talking about specifically right now would be District 23, which is a much larger area north of Gallatin Road. And again, I'm looking at the Indian Lake Peninsula, who I represent right now, and having 3 different districts on that one geographically small area well, number one, it doesn't make sense. Number 2 is likely overrepresentation. If I'm out in the county, I wouldn't want 3 people on one peninsula, one little area. And then I think it'd be confusing to people. We're talking about, who's your commissioner? Well, now you got people that live in a close area all have 3 different commissioners. It would just be, to me, there's no positive to that at all. So I appreciate everyone's consideration on this.
All right, thank you, Mr. Becker. Mr. Tinsley, do you want to speak on the amendment? Okay.
So if we're going to be nitpicky with the 24 districts here with, because.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I'm going to continue.
Okay,
so
let him finish.
If we're going to be, kind of moving things around to make things look prettier, to make things, I don't know. So part of my current district, which is what would be the 22, I would think I would represent one neighborhood of my district, so maybe 10%. But on that, half of my neighborhood's in another census block. So if we're going to start moving things around, because then only part of my neighborhood would be the only thing not in this district running east to west, instead of just where the other little piece is in 23. So I guess we should start moving things over there too, to kind of balance it out. Well, okay, so I have a map.
Okay.
So over here, this is another census block, and this is what we were discussing in the committee. So if we are filling this in to 22, then I would like the street that is physically behind my house to be in my district as well. Yeah.
Okay, hang on. Whoa. Let's go back to our rules of order. Mr. Tinsley has the floor. Go ahead, Mr. Tinsley.
Because, I mean, out of the 20 4-district map, again, I'm only representing, I mean, physically it would be half of my neighborhood that's in my current district, and everything else would be new to me. So I feel if we're going to start putting things in on the Indian Lake Peninsula, then the people that I've represented for the last 3 years that are physically right behind my house would probably also want to be in the same commission district as the commissioner if I ran in one, again, that lives in their backyard.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Tinsley. Ms. Kruger. Okay, it's okay. Mr. Good.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I'm going to, just because a few things have been said here, a few people have said this is the way, if it's working, don't fix it. This is the way we've done it. We've been doing it for 40, 50 years. So I mean, in 100% due respect to the amendment, and the reason I'm going to point out this history, which I've printed off, because I knew this would be an issue tonight, I thought, is the process that we did 10 years ago, and I'm not going to make any disparaging remarks, I'm just going to tell who the committees were for this process 10 years ago, because I was here and there's 5 or 6 guys that were here. The committee was appointed by the chairman. It was Commissioners Kirk Mosier, Bob Pospisil, Jerry Stone, Sean Utley, Jim Vaughn, Mo Taylor, Ben Harris, and Merrill Hyde. There were 3 public meetings that we are aware of. And then when it was passed on the floor with no commitment, with no changes. And it wasn't even a vote on the board. It was declared a vote passed by the chairman by a voice vote. I say that to say, whether you like it or not, we have honored our committee system. Some people have said they couldn't come to the committees. These maps have been in everybody's hands with discussion, more open discussion, than has ever been said in, especially the way we did it 10 years ago. So I just want to make a couple of those corrections. Everybody keeps saying if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This is the way we did it. We've honored our committee system in the past and did it completely differently 10 years ago. And then secondly, I'll just say on the 24, I'm not crazy about the 24 personally, because it actually messes my district up the way, if I was going to cherry pick it and do it exactly the way I wanted to, I would do it differently. But I do think that with what Wesley has given us at the requests of whomever all was involved in all those, it makes more sense, and it may be different in a rural area. They may have a different opinion, but I think the 24 makes more sense to the people that have commented that it's easier to cover. And so that's it, Mr. Chairman. Just like to state the facts, not talking negative about anybody.
Okay. Yeah, let me remind everybody we're on Mr. Becker's amendment about south of Gallatin Road on the Indian Lake Peninsula. Mr. Mansfield, are you on the amendment? Okay, but I didn't think, he told me he wasn't on the amendment. No, I'm not. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
The goal here is to represent what's convenient for citizens, not what's convenient for us as elected officials. And I've heard statements saying, well, it's convenient, it's smaller, and blah, blah, blah. I don't care if it's twice as large. And it's not about us. It's about what's good representation for the citizens. And 2 commissioners per district is better representation for the citizens. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Mr. Driver, and then we'll come back to you, Mr. Becker.
Quick here on the amendment. I just want to say I don't really have any problem with moving these as far as, what we're talking about, 21, 22. But I do want to say, and when we were there in the meetings working on these areas, it was very difficult to get the numbers correct on these small areas here. And it may not be about 22, it may be about 23 that may have had to be pushing to find other numbers to make it get to the right thing. And, you know, I know they tried to straighten up the side of that towards the lake, and it's just a big snake down through there, but that big snake down through there that has 154 people, they tried to get it with the other district and just could not make the numbers work. So I think it's actually harder to make the numbers work down there in the concentration of people. And so I don't remember if your amendment, you know, said as long as it works, as far as, I don't remember what the amendment was, and I need to hear that again before I can vote on it.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Driver. Mr. Becker?
So just talking about, the amendment is on the Indian Lake Peninsula, the small area that's south of Gallatin Road would move from 23 to 22. That's what my amendment was. But if I'm understanding correctly, going to 24, if I'm understanding right, is going to increase our operational costs of our elections, right? And then I'm going to echo and agree with the better representation with 2 members. Actually, today I had someone call me and voice that exact same opinion. You know, that's, you know, whether if you're always agreeing or voting together, the 2 representatives are always voting together, well then, you know, that is what it is. But whenever there's what's I'm talking about 24.
I know, but I thought
okay, that's fair.
Amendment, and so I'm trying to keep it organized.
That's fair. That's fair.
I'm going to go back because I'll be honest, just to be fair to Mr. Becker, I've been a little loose on this. I know Mr. Becker's going to wrap up pretty soon.
Yeah.
But I'm going to let him, I'm going to go back because I apologize to the commission. I've gotten a little loose on this amendment. I should have been much tighter with several speakers, so I'm not going to penalize Mr. Becker. So go ahead, Mr. Becker.
I would just say, so yeah, the same comment was made to me today is they feel that they're represented better by the 2 systems. So thank you.
Okay. All right. Mr. Ring, are you on the amendment?
Yes, sir. I have a question I have, well, I want to speak later also on the other. But from what it appears to me like, Mr. Becker, you have 3 or 4 different possible amendments that you want to make? Is that correct?
I don't think that's not an appropriate question, Mr. Ring.
Okay, I'm just saying, because whatever we, you know, when we were just doing this in committee, we had 4 committee meetings that were strictly commission. We moved a lot of these districts back and forth, moved lines everywhere, and you know we came up with what we thought was the best at the time. But you know, we can be here till 3, you know, till next week if we start moving every, you know, trying to make the line straighter and that kind of thing. So, I just, you know, like a little clarification of why we're doing this. I guess is to take part of a district or one representative out of the Indian Lake Peninsula. So somebody said they thought more representation was better. So maybe less is better.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ring. Mr. Becker.
So again, I just want to remind what I said earlier is unfortunately Wesley was not in attendance last week when I wanted to look at these changes. And additionally, the speaker who just spoke did not allow me to talk to Wesley last week ahead of tonight's meeting. So unfortunately, here we are. So thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Ring. I see no one else in the queue to speak about the amendment. A yes vote. I know we've had a lot of good discussion, so let me clarify what we're voting on. Yes, Mr. Driver. Okay. I'll clarify. Yeah. Give me just a second. I'm going to clarify, Mr. Driver. So the amendment is to take Indian Lake Peninsula south of Gallatin Road that is in District 23 and move it to District 22 pending that it meets the guidelines of the 10% rule. So a yes vote is to make that change tentatively until approval by CTAS. A no vote is to leave the maps on the 24 as they are and to move back to the main resolution. Does that clarify for everybody? We good? Okay. Yes vote is to change the map. No vote is to keep the maps as they are.
The amendment's on the board. Each commissioner, please record your vote. "23 votes are entered. Anyone not voting wishing to vote? Anyone wishing to change your vote?" With 10 affirmative votes, the amendment fails to carry.
Okay, we're back on the main resolution. I'll give the queue a second. Oh, Mr. Becker.
So now we're back on the main motion, right? Okay. So just to repeat that, right? Higher cost, less representation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Becker. Mr. Ring.
Yes, sir. I think I've said most of what I needed to say. However, I said support the 24 because I believe that people have better representation. I too have talked to citizens, and they mostly said, in fact, all the ones I've talked to said that they like the 24 districts. I actually even talked to a couple of people I know who are former commissioners in other counties, and their response was, well, I wish we'd only had one instead of what we had. So I believe that the one per district is far superior to the two per district. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ring. There is no one else in the queue. So a green vote is for 24, a red vote is for 12. Green if you want to vote for 24, red if you want to vote for 12. To win, it'll have to have at least 13 votes. Okay? Mr. Kemp, let's vote.
The vote is on the board. Each commissioner, please record your vote. All 24 votes are entered. Does anyone want to change your vote? With 16 green votes, the 24 district is approved.
Okay. Okay. All right. We will now go, we're done with legislative. Mr. Ring, did you have anything else for legislative? You have no more resolutions on there?
I guess that's it.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Chris Taylor.
Yes,
budget.
sir. 2111-05, sorry. Appropriating $1,158,080 for the GRNC Nashville MPO. It's a lot of acronyms, but what it boils down to is this is the money that we had to make sure we were ADA compliant throughout the county with sidewalks and walkways and entrances. It's something the state gave us. We had matching. It's been around for about almost 2 years now. It's a carryover. I so move.
Okay. Motion made by Commissioner Chris Taylor. I think Commissioner Good had the second. I see no one in the queue. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I see Commissioner Mo Taylor, Commissioner Jeremy Mansfield. Are there any other noes? Okay, 3 noes. I have Commissioner Mo Taylor, Commissioner Jeremy Mansfield, Commissioner Jerry Becker as noes. So the motion passes 21-3. Mr. Taylor.
2111-09, appropriating $93,010 for replacement of fire dryers for the Sumner County Sheriff's Office. I so move, and I just remind everybody they have to get bids for these, and they have to meet our criteria and the state's criteria to be accepted as a bid.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Chris Taylor, seconded by Commissioner Stewart. Mr. Mansfield.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at our sheet, and based on citizen comments, I mean, I saw where that's $186,000, and we're doing it for $93,000. So I'm like, and we have one bid that was put in here, so I don't quite understand.
Hang on one second, Mr. Long. Let him finish, and then I'll come to you.
Yeah, I just
sorry, Mr. Mansfield.
Yeah, there's a discrepancy. Something's not matching up here, so I would appreciate clarification.
Okay,
from.
let me go to Mr. Long for clarification.
If you read the PO, it clearly says for 2 washers, 2 of 5. So if you divide that by 2 and times it by 5, it comes exactly to that amount. And that was the same discussion at the budget committee.
Okay.
There's not a mathematical discrepancy.
Okay.
So the resolution needs to say 2 drawers?
He's going
Yes.
spring.
Okay. The actual PO says 2 on it.
Okay.
So without objection, if the maker of the motion, the second, if we can change
Yes, sir. Whatever we
the
need to.
resolution to read 2 dryers instead of 5.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
We can,
I'm sorry, it was to purchase 5. The 37 that they're talking about is actually to purchase 2 dryers.
okay.
So that's what the question was. If you times 37,000 times 5, it comes up to $180-some thousand. But if you look on the PO, it clearly says the 37,000 is for 2 of 5 dryers.
So we don't need to clean anything up?
No.
Okay. So we'll go back to our original resolution with the maker in a second. Okay? All right, there's no one else in the queue. Let's vote.
The resolution's on the board. Each commissioner, please record your vote.
All right, I got this one. Mr. Kim, that's something I would do.
And just out of reporting everybody, that had, I didn't pull the 09, that had 05 up there. It's a unanimous vote. We will get it changed to show the 09 that got pulled off of consent.
Yes, sir.
All right, Commissioner Taylor.
2111-13, approving a 36-month contract for a dedicated network connection between the Sumner County Administration and ECC buildings for the IT department. I so move. This is one that we wanted to do when we took over IT for ECC and all of that. Part of that has been that it's a little bit of a train wreck, and Dennis is going through fixing it. One of those things, they had didn't have necessarily the fail-safes they should, and some of the just infrastructure wasn't correct from when it was built. So he's going back and fixing that.
Okay. All right, motion made by Commissioner Taylor, seconded by Commissioner Stewart. Mr. Mansfield.
So what's the total cost for this?
We'll know when it's bid out, Jeremy.
What's the total cost that we're, is this just a contract to do it, or is this the?
Well, actually, I take that back. Yeah, David's got that one. Yeah, we have.
Hang on one second. Let me see if, Mr. Long, can you give us the information?
It says approving a 36-month contract. That's what we're approving.
Yes.
Right, it's to approve the 36-month contracts because it goes across fiscal years. It's actually $1,885 a month. And my understanding was this was discussed last year, so it's in Mr. Carey's budget. It's just to approve the contract because it will go across multiple years. The commission will have to approve it.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Long.
So this is not new money?
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, it's in a standing line. All right, I see no one else in the queue. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I've got 1 no, Mr. Taylor, 2 no's, Mr. Mansfield. Okay, by a vote of 22-2, the motion passes. Hey, before we adjourn, I want to make one comment that I think, Mr. Mansfield mentioned at the start of the meeting that Thanksgiving, or November's a time for gratitude and Thanksgiving. Many of our schools do Veterans Day celebrations. I encourage you, if you get the opportunity, to go see one. They're really powerful. I happened to be at the one at White House High School last week, and the kids go out back and do a parade after the very formal, very quiet, very solemn Veterans Day presentation. They go out back, and the kids all had USA signs and celebration things, and they did a parade, and our veterans drove through the students, and it was like a pep rally parade. They cheered and hollered. One of the Vietnam veterans pulled back around with tears in his eyes and told the principal, "It's the first time I've ever had a parade or anyone cheer me on for my service." And last Monday, I had the opportunity to go to the Quilts of Valor, and there was a woman there that spoke. She's one of Ms. DeWitt's friends. Her mom started a campaign to make sure every soldier in Vietnam got a letter. And she's written a book about it now. They're making a mini-series about it, a documentary, all kinds of other things. But, she made mention of the fact that we refer to the World War II generation as the greatest generation. She's referring to the Vietnam generation as the bravest generation because they fought their war and came home many times for 3 decades or more without any thanks. So I think that's a blessing for us all to focus on in the sea of everything else that we see. And if you see a Vietnam veteran, by all means, that's happened several times where Vietnam veterans come up after a Veterans Day program and said, "This is the first time I've ever been thanked for my service." So let's do our part to give thanks for our veterans and for their service. Is there a motion to adjourn? Yes, sir, Mr. Becker.
For the record, you skipped over the last item on the agenda, but I have no report.
I am sorry, Mr. Becker. No report. Thank you. We're adjourned. Got a little ahead of myself there.